What's up, guys? Another video. So today, staying on the theme of business development and selling SEO or digital services, whatever it is that you do, I thought I'd put a little bit of a presentation together and just a few talking points on what bad clients look like. The reason that I'm doing this is I'm hoping that if you bear a few of these things in mind in future, it might help you spot a potentially bad or problematic client before they come through the door and before they become an active client, and it may lead you to, pass them on somewhere else or just turn them away for whatever reason. I've been in that position in the past where I've had clients that I really don't like dealing with. Obviously, I've scaled and sold my shares in a SEO agency in the past, and I have a big network of other SEOs that I'm in frequent contact with, so I'm very, very aware of what that sort of client landscape looks like. And I thought it'd be useful to some of you guys as well to know some of these things. So hopefully it saves you a bit of turmoil in the future. We'll jump straight in, and then if you've got any questions, just drop them in the comments. Cool. So the first thing that a potentially bad client, or the first thing on the list, I should say, that a potentially bad client will often do is try and get you to commit to some sort of concrete promises. So you will, depending on how long you've been doing SEO, it's very likely that you will know that a lot of clients will say, how long do you think it will take until we're ranking number one? And there is no answer you can give to that question. You know that. You can do everything right. You can revise all of the content. Let's say it's some sort of magic client that's like, yeah, we've got budget for excessive sort of link building activity, as well as we've got an in-house content team. We've got an in-house dev team that you can do consulting with to get the web, the page speed insight score up and all of that stuff. We'll go through and we'll fix all the 404 pages right away in the first month. Everything's perfect, and then it's just about developing content. How long is it going to be? You still couldn't answer that question. All you can do is use your track record and sort of sense of how long it might take, depending on, between them and the gap. But there's still no way to give a concrete answer to that. And yet some clients, what they'll do is they'll try to do that so that then gives them, they'll probably know this. They probably know how SEO works. They probably asked other SEOs the exact same question, but they will know that you can't commit to that. And yet if they try to continue to pressure you into making some sort of promise, that then may give them recourse to say, well, you didn't deliver what you said you would, therefore I want, X amount of money back. And that's just not the way that it works, obviously. So bear in mind, obviously you don't want to just say, oh, well, I can't tell you that. You want to help them say, well, this is where your keywords are benchmarked right now. This is the click-through rate at those positions. This is how much searches those keywords get. If we were able to move them to this conservative place, this is what that traffic might look like. This is what that increase in click-through rate, because your positions have climbed, might look like. But we can't commit to these numbers. We can only help you try to project the impact of this SEO campaign. Okay, so as long as you're being transparent about the real gap that they need to cross between, if it's a backlinks gap between them and their competitors, if it's a content gap, if you're helping them close that gap, that's not to say they'll definitely rank, but you can at least help them project what it would look like if they did. Okay. So, and just before I move on from that point as well, it really comes down to making sure that you're educating them properly as well. Make sure that they know how SEO works. Make sure they understand why you can't make promises like that. And then if they still insist after that, then you're really making a rod for your own back in the future by working with them, because they'll be breathing down your neck the second that they've got you to promise to something. Okay, so clients often, and these are normally the clients that are I don't want to use the word delusional because that's rude, and it's it's a compliment that they reached out to you in the first place for help and for your services. So I try to take all prospective clients seriously. However, what I do notice is a lot of people will say, I've come up with this brand, I've come up with a new social media platform, right? Okay, I've come up with a new footwear that's made out of recycled stuff from the ocean, right? Okay, cool, but and then they'll say, right, so what can we, I think we're going to be worth 200 million by 2027, and we're happy to give you a profit share at that point when the business sells. And they'll say things like, we need you to be invested in our vision and in our growth journey. And essentially what they're saying is, when they say that, or a lot of the time, is they want you to work for free, and if it pays off and if they become rich, then they'll pay you. Okay, so essentially that's a case of like, I need to reach out to SEOs, social media managers, business development, non-exec directors, all this stuff, and say, help me become rich, and if I do, I'll pay you. That's essentially what prospects are saying when they start to talk like that. And what we've done now is, or what I did do is, when people start to say things like that, just so you know, we can literally only work on a fixed retainer basis. It's how the business works. We have limited capacity. We're just not in a position to be laying out work without any sort of guaranteed return. We have enough inquiries for paid work. So we can help you. We can definitely put a plan together, but it's going to cost this much per month, or it's going to cost this much over a 6 or a 12-month period. Be very, very clear with them, because that doesn't allow them any leeway to talk about, this sort of pie in the sky type stuff. Again, it's great that they're so enthusiastic and passionate about their vision and what it is that they do, but that's not your vision. You was never in SEO because you care about recycled footwear or whatever it is that that they're doing. You're running an SEO agency or an SEO consultancy or a freelancer sort of arrangement. That's your business, and you charge a set amount for your time. So stick to that. Hopefully you will have a contract or some sort of terms of agreement that you'll get clients to sign to. If you do, I would, try and make sure that it's boilerplate from an SEO perspective. So essentially what you want is something in that clause that says you can't control the Google's algorithms, you can't control search engine policies, those are subject to change outside of your control. Put things in your contract that protect you. And I'm not saying put things in your contract that allow you no responsibility. That's not what I'm saying. But the fact of the matter is, if you're in SEO, or even if you're in social media marketing, Instagram will bring out a new feature that didn't exist when that contract was signed. And then all of a sudden, the entire strategy has to change, because all of a sudden, Instagram Reels are getting more engagement than carousels used to and stories used to. Now it's all about Reels, right? Remember when Instagram TV came out, everybody was all about that. And I'm sure a lot of social media agencies were pitching IGTV in their decks and stuff. Probably not so much anymore. So you have to allow for this sort of ongoing change in nature of SEO, and you want to make sure that your contract protects you against that. You will always be working in their best interest, but you want to make sure that the contract allows you to work within the arena of SEO and not get stung because Google's released an algorithm update, a core algorithm update that didn't exist 6 months ago, and that you built their sort of strategy around. That's the game that the client is playing. That's the game that the client agrees to play with you by participating in SEO. Okay? So if they want to keep revising your contract to remove any sort of protection for you and try and like guarantee results for themselves and sort of remove any acknowledgement of change in search engine algorithm policies, that's not a good sign. Again, it probably goes back to that first point, but they're trying to tie you down and get you into a corner, so that essentially if it doesn't work to their liking within a 6-month period or a 12-month period, they've got opportunity for recourse. Then they say, well, it's not in your contract, blah, 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 and they've got you in a corner. So make sure that you're protecting yourself and don't allow them to change your contract in terms of agreement in such a way that it removes protection. Okay. Scope creep. So this is the sort of client, hopefully you can pick up on this when they're still in the sales process, but a lot of this will tend to occur once they're already in the door. So scope creep essentially means that they are increasing the size of the job that you initially agreed to over time. So that might be something like, okay, well, you agreed to do technical on-site optimization. Maybe you're going to develop some on-site content on the actual landing pages or the service pages or the product category pages, whatever. And you was going to do some backlink building. But then 2 months into the campaign, they're like, guys, something's just happened in our industry that's very relevant. We really want some blog post content against this. Can you produce it for us? Now, if they're willing to pay extra, and I would be very clear about this in your contract and in your terms of agreement, any work outside of this agreed work flow that's in the work plan that you've sent them over, anything outside of that will be charged at an additional hourly rate of X or an additional daily rate of X, okay? If they want you to just include it within your existing hours, that is starting to become scope creep. The scope of the job that you agreed to is creeping up and creeping up. And once they get you to take on extra jobs for free, then some clients, the wrong clients, will really start to push that. And then all of a sudden it'll be, right, well, we've just released a new product range, or we want you to start targeting a new group of keywords within your existing retainer. That's a big one, actually, that happens quite frequently. We want you to target these new keywords, and we want it nationally. Well, it's like, well, you're paying me to do local SEO and rank you for these services within the Manchester area, and now you're wanting to rank nationally for some sort of new product or service you've released. It doesn't make sense. You have to be very strict with them. If anything falls outside the initial agreement that you put in your terms of agreement, in your initial work plan, make sure that they've agreed to pay you extra for that in the terms, and raise that with them at the point. Say, hi, name, we can perhaps put some time aside to do this. However, just to be upfront with you, this falls outside of our initial agreement. Therefore, as per our terms of agreement or our signed contract, we'll bill this at an hourly rate of X, and an estimate, it will probably take us 3 to 4 hours. And then they'll do the maths and they'll say, right, okay, that's fine, stick it on your next invoice. Or they'll say, no, well, we think it should be done within what we're paying. And then at that point, you'll know this falls under scope creep, and you'll say, well, no, it doesn't fall under we want to obviously make sure you're a happy client, but we can't work for free because we're literally turning work away somewhere else, or, you can come up with a good excuse. And this one speaks for itself, really, but generally rude or unprofessional. If you take a client, or you're in the initial stages of an agreement with a client and you've not actually signed them yet, if you're not happy with their attitude before they're paying, so if they seem a little bit pompous or a little bit rude or a little bit pushy or bullyish, especially some of the older sort of dinosaur type business people can be a little bit bullyish and try and push you around in the sales process, or try and bully you on price and things like that, then they will be twice as bad once you've taken their money, because they feel like not only did they get away with that sort of behavior during the sales process, but then, especially if they knocked you down on price, they got away with that, then you took the money, and now you're in their pocket because you've taken the money. We had a guy that was, he was being like really picky with things like, in my email signature, not in my email signature, in one of the people's that used to work for me, in their email signature, the social media link, so it would have the business, their job title, phone number, email address, and then in the email signature, links to the branded social media accounts, and the Instagram link wasn't working, and he found that, and he clicked, and he was like, P.S. You guys need to check the Instagram link in your signature, it's not working. I always check the minor details. And at that point, I was like, that's not a good sign. Like, fair, if he was like, guys, just so you know, that Instagram link's not working or something, fair enough. You hold your hands up and you say, thanks a lot for pointing that out. Appreciate it. It should be working now. But he really wanted to make a point of being like, I've checked this and I'm not happy about it in a way. So at that point, I probably should have pulled the plug on that, and I didn't. And we took that client on, and within 2 months, we had to sack him off as a client. He was on the phone all the time. He was like shouting at people, shouting at the staff, that sort of thing. And he was just completely unreasonable and unwilling to be professional, really. And this guy was extremely wealthy. He had a very successful, B2B business in the UK, but he really seemed to be on a bit of a power trip. And for some people, going to work and spending money with, especially freelancers or smaller agencies, gives them an opportunity where they get to wield a little bit of power, and it makes them, gives them a little bit of a kick. So just do yourself a favor, say no to those people at the door. I know sometimes that money can be tempting. I know sometimes that, you might be willing to give someone the world for less money that you wanted just to get started. But trust me, if you start to market your services and promote yourself in the right places and in the right way, you will get enough leads coming to you that you're in a position where it's actually very satisfying. You're able to say no to people, or you're able even to let existing clients go because you're just not happy with the way that they work, and it's a very sort of liberating feeling, actually. So yeah, I mentioned in my last video as well that I'm working on putting a course together. That course, just so you know, specifically will be talking about how to do that, how to get inbound leads from different sources. And it's also going to talk a lot about how to sell the SEO, what kind of material you will need to do that, what kind of material the big agencies are using, what kind of material gets taken into meetings for these big national brands, what sort of material gets put in there. So essentially it's going to be a blueprint from everything from how to generate leads, how to establish yourself as an SEO, in terms of appearing as an SEO professional, and then also how to pitch and close those clients. Okay, it's not going to be, I've watched a few courses doing some research. It's not going to be anything like here's how to write an invoice, here's how to pay a VAT return. Like, I can't believe that someone's charging for a course that includes how to do an invoice. If you need to know how to how to create an invoice, don't buy my course, because you're probably a few steps behind. But if you know how to do SEO and you can service someone for SEO, but you're not very good at sales, you're not very good at getting leads for yourself, and you just need a blueprint, then this is the course that I'm creating, and I think that you would get a lot from it. And I'm not going to price it anything ridiculous. It's going to be very reasonable considering the value of the content and the over 10 years of experience that I'll be putting into it. So I'm really excited about that. I hope that you guys will check it out. I'll do maybe a little bit of a trailer near the time. I'm hoping to start filming that maybe early next month. And I might do like an early bird sale or something where, you guys can sign up and get it at a cheaper price pre-release, and it'll just allow me to know that there's interest there as well. So it's good for both of us, okay? Because this is the first time I'm ever doing a course, and I'm really, really excited about it. So I just want to know that you guys are too. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Again, I will strive to create some of these free little lessons and bits of content and share the benefit of my experience. I know these decks aren't massively exciting, but the value of the information hopefully is. So I'll leave it there. Take it easy. Have a great week, guys, and hopefully, probably, I'll catch you next week. All right. See you later.